So hey everybody, it's time for a little bit of Funky Friday. I hope everybody had a good week, and I hope it's feeling like a Friday whatever day you're watching this on. I'm Scott from Little Kids Rock, and I thought what would be kind of a fun thing to do is break down some funky strumming stuff and a couple chords and try to do it in a pretty easy style. So let's just get right into this. Probably the most important sound that we're going to get is this muted sound. And if you watch my overview on right hand sounds, you can basically just hold the notes and strum through it. I'm going to try to do it around the 5th fret because we're going to be doing a lot of things around the 5th fret today. But let's just start off by putting back on that drum beat, finding that beat, playing some quarters together. Cool. Once again, if you're getting this sound, it means you're not holding the strings enough. And if you're getting this sound, you're pressing too hard. And when you're feeling that beat, try messing around with your strumming. How about just down on 8th notes? And then the fun thing to do after that is to do the down ups on 16ths. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. And let's just practice messing around with that a little bit more. And you'll notice I can create different funk sounds just leaving out some of the strums. Like, and it's always cooler when I leave out the downs. Like that. So, I could go on and do that for a long time, but I don't think I need to do it for too long. Let's actually talk about what else I can add into that now. And we're going to look at this. So this is a full A minor pentatonic scale. Many of you probably know it, and if you don't, it doesn't matter. You don't need the whole scale here. As a matter of fact, I want to notice something. If you look at that line right here, you see how every single note on the 5th fret is in that scale. Cool. So what that means is I can take any of these notes and make them sound good in this if I'm trying to play an A minor, which is where I'm going to stick to for now. So what I like to do is take my first finger and just lay it down on the top 3 frets to get that sound. That's a really cool chord. It's actually an A minor chord, believe it or not. In second inversion. Actually, in first version, right? My lowest note's a C. Sorry, my bad. So there we have that. And if I add an A in the bass, you can hear it a little bit better. But one of the neat things about it is it actually makes up a whole bunch of different chords. For instance, if I add a D in the bass, it becomes part of a D9. I can add an F in the bass and it becomes part of an F major 7. I can add a C here, it becomes a C6. So it's a really kind of, those 3 notes can be a multitude of things. So I can just use that one finger and get a lot of different sounds on it. So I'm going to put back on that beat. And I'm going to start off by just trying to give me downbeats on that. So once again, I'm just taking it, really pressing hard right now. And if I lift it just a little bit, I get that muted sound, right? Press and lift and press. You probably can't even really see a difference. I can do every other one. Press, press. So that's just a little bit of that, and now I can start experimenting and pressing it when I feel like it. You'll notice nothing changed in this hand. It's just going up and down. Everything's happening with one finger right here. And really with the pressure I'm applying in the thumb. I'm pushing and not pushing. So, if you want to, you can practice that for a long time, find your favorite drum beat to do it with. How can I spice that up a little bit? Well, there's a couple different ways. My favorite way is to add in the slide, like this. I'm going to do on the 4th fret. Okay, cool. It's an A flat minor chord now, right? But how about this? Ah, there we got it. So I'm just going to do my normal strumming, maybe 16th notes, and slide up. Doing that a while will probably get your fingers all lined up. But it's a really easy way to change the sound. I can also do it from 2 frets higher and slide down. I can do it from 1, but it's not quite as cool. I don't know, let's try it. I kind of like that. How about maybe a little more funky? How about? So you can play it on all sorts of beats and from other frets. I can slide more. So that's just another way to add something into your repertoire. Now, here's a fun thing you can do as well. You can add in another finger. In this case, I'm going to take my 3rd finger and do it 2 frets higher, like this. I know one of those notes isn't technically in the scale, but it fits, trust me. So I can do this. And how about? So I'm just taking those kind of combinations and doing a lot of different things. So let's look at this in a couple of songs, because I like to use repertoire. And then after we do that, what we're going to do is I'm going to go through a little bit more of how you can add in some stuff that isn't chord based on top of this. So let's look first at this, which I think is a very, very classic. It's the song If You Had to Ask by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And you'll notice it's got this weird chord. It's kind of like what we did before, but it actually uses these 2 notes. The 5th fret on the G string and the 6th fret on the B string. And then it has this X on the other one. What does that mean? It means you can have bad posture, because this finger is literally just touching the other string. And it's going to do that naturally for most of us. So that's the sound I have. By the way, I'd like to thank the guitar instructor site. I did take this one bar from it, and it's a site I go to all the time. It's a Hal Leonard site. I use it for everything I do when I'm trying to learn guitar stuff, so I find it really useful. So we have this basic sound here, which is a nice little funky thing, and they actually add in this 7th fret on the E string at the end of the riff. So you get that, the peak one, very sharp sound. It's a great chord. So what I can do with this is I can play it the way I've been doing before, or I can look at the rhythm they're using, and this goes throughout the verse of the entire song. If you're looking up at it and you're counting in the music notation part, or even in the tablature part, you'll notice it goes chord, X's, which is the muted strings, chord, muted strings, and it does that pattern. So just theory for a second. When we're doing 16th notes, you should know there's 16 of them in a bar, right? There's 4 beats. Each one has 4 16th notes in it. And usually when you count, you think 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. And 4 is easily broken up into 2, right? Well, what they're doing here is actually grouping things by 3. And this is such a funky sound to have this kind of weird feel, this feel of 3 when we're actually in 4. So in this case, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't have to change the way I pick. That time I was trying to accent it so you can hear it. But I'm literally pressing every 3 notes. 1 E and a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you hear that goes? This is a great way to learn how to get that on-beat, off-beat, push-pull feel that funk players use all the time. And it's really not about changing anything here. All you have to think about is pressing at the right part. And it might be hard to think about when you're trying to count it and to technologically feel it. But if you listen to the track, once again, if you have to ask, and you find out that you can hear that rhythm, you can start working on emulating it. So let's try playing it with our beat before, at about the tempo this is. And by the way, that's maybe a little bit slower than the actual tempo of the song, but if it is, it's not by much. It's great. All you have to do is add in, Chad Smith on drums and Flea giving you some crazy cool bass line underneath it to really fill out the sound. And I gotta tell you, Red Hot Chili Pepper songs from this, from basically all the way through, Blood Sugar Sex Magik, Californication, by the way, they all have really cool funky parts that you can work on. That's one tune. And by the way, I'm just mentioning these here. Some of you may be nowhere near ready for this yet, but hopefully after a while of practicing, you'll want to be at this spot. So let's go to another one. And this is the song By the Way, actually. And it's very similar, but it's good for just strumming. Now you'll notice the chord here is our friendly favorite 5s, just shifted up to 10. And they're adding in this 12th fret to make it part of a full D minor bar. You don't have to. You can literally just do. But just like before, it's either pressed or muted. And if you're counting it out, what you'll notice is you'll see, let me see if I can do this, right here there's a little bit of a space. There's a little bit of a space there, and that's on beat 3. Let's leave that out for now. We're going to literally do this. Press, press, 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1 and. Feel that. And once you practice that a while, then the next thing is take out 3. So 1, let me count it myself. Sorry, ready? And 1 and 2E and 4E and 2E and 4E and when you're listening along with the recording, you'll hear the drummer and the guitar player and the bass player are all really emphasizing that break. So it's more than him just thinking about comping this. It's an actual designed pause there. Let's try it with a beat, and I'm gonna speed this one up a bit, but let's first try it slow. Great, let's speed it up, because this one actually goes pretty fast in the track itself. Probably about 120. 1, 2, 3. It's maybe a little slower than that, like a 110 or so, but that's where we just did it. Good job if you did. I'm going to bring this back down now, tempo-wise, and let's work on one more song, and then we'll get together with a couple other ideas. So we got to go back to one of my favorites and one of the OGs, Little James Brown, and this is from Papa's Got a Brand New Bag. And this is just showing, once again, how much I can do with just that, like, dyad in this case, or just using that one finger. In this case, he's taking that D minor. Now we're all the way up to the 12th fret, all the way up here, right? And we're going to go like this. That's easy. And then on beat 2. So let's just practice that much. We'll worry about the next bit in a second. 1, 2, ready? Yeah, just that. Ooh, easy. So what's that other bit? Remember how earlier I was talking about you can add in that other finger? It's that 14th fret, 2 frets higher, and it's actually just going to do this. Pull off, add again, and then back off. So it sounds like this. Yeah. So you notice you don't have to play on every single beat. You'll notice I'm trying to keep my picking the same direction as if I was doing this the whole time, but I'm leaving that space, and that sounds just as funky. So let me pick that up in tempo now, maybe 110. Awesome. All right, let's stop there. So hopefully you have a couple different ideas on how you might actually get better at playing that kind of funky sound. And remember, once again, right hand's just going up and down the whole time. It's all about the pressing of the left in rhythmic ways. So I made a little track here that I'd like to share with you. It uses that same drum beat. And I did this about a minute and a half, and it doesn't sound great recording-wise. I did it in a loud room here. So here's how it sounds. So let's put a little bass on that. And let's just listen to bass for a minute. The bass is literally doing notes in the scale too. That 5th fret. And then it's going to go up to this string. Get ready? Where it's using that first finger, 3rd finger, and 1st finger again on strings 5 and 4. I didn't have to add that riff, I just decided to. When I'm thinking of the bass part, I'm just trying to think of something that's a little bit rhythmically funky, that's adding in some syncopation. Then how about the guitar part? Let's check that out now. So I'm adding in a 4-bar loop. I'm thinking of this in a 4-bar phrase. So, sliding up the first 3 times, and then a tag at the end. Literally just adding in that finger on fret 7. So now that I've created this kind of fun thing to do here, sorry, 1 second. I keep open my other screen. Oftentimes in funk, you'll add a riff. You'll like a lot of funk bands have 2 or 3 guitar players, and they might just do 1 or 2 or 3 notes in the middle of their pentatonic scale, like this. It could just be 1 note, probably like this. I'm literally just playing 5th fret on the D string, on the 4th string. And I'm just doing it in a funky rhythm. So you can figure out your own little riff here. Just take 2 or 3 notes from that scale, like alternative riffs you could do there. So hopefully by now you've got a couple cooked in your mind. Just jam with this for, I don't know, a little bit. Maybe we'll slow it down a little bit if you want to practice with the slower. Skipping around beats. Ah, there it is. All right, so let's stop it there for a minute because I've got to do my favorite thing, of course, which is add a solo. And there's a lot of things you can do here, but I'm just going to use those notes of that A minor scale, the A minor pentatonic, which you should see on your screen. Now, I always recommend when you're practicing your scales, make sure you go through it once, like this. We're going to go 4, 2, 1, then we're going to go to 8th notes and then 16th notes. So, yeah, I can use the music while I practice. So let's play it 4 times each. Voice per note. Once. Okay, maybe not that last one. So, I'm also going to add on some, maybe I'll start with some wah here. Or maybe not, maybe my wah's broken. Oh, it sounds like my wah's out of commission. Alright, we'll add some chorus and maybe some distortion instead. Hopefully you're having fun jamming along with me. Alright, I think that's enough wanking around on the guitar for me. So look, I hope that you had a good time getting through a little bit of basics with funk. I think it's a great way to start working on rhythm, lining up your two hands, making sure that you can play real smooth between the two of them, and also just getting that syncopation that's so important in so much popular music. Then also, it's just really fun to jam. I love jamming. I would recommend you could go onto YouTube where you can create your own, just say A minor funk jam. I bet you there's going to be tons of stuff. Or you can find a song that's a long thing that you can jam over. I know that Oye Como Va is a great tune for this because it goes on for a long time. But there's a lot of songs that do that. And I don't have to limit myself just to the 5th fret in A minor. I just happen to be doing that right now. That just happens to be doing. So, anyways, I think that hopefully that wraps it up. If you have any other questions, please feel free to email us at any time at livestream@littlekidsrock.org. And we will respond to them as soon as we get them. And I hope you had a good time. We'll see you next week where we have a whole 10 other sessions that we're going to be doing. Some more singing, some more ukulele, some more technology stuff, and we're going to be composing a song next week. So hopefully you enjoy that. All right, thank you guys.